to A Well-Designed Business. My name is Luann Nigara, and I'm so glad you found this podcast. Together with my husband Vince and our partner Bill, we have grown our company WindowWorks from the ground up. So I know and I understand the challenges you face in running your interior design business. I also know that your talent alone isn't enough to ensure your success. So on this podcast, we talk about strategies and practical steps to help you grow your business. But make no mistake about it, we have our share of fun here too, mixed in with those aha moments that I love so much. This isn't fluff. Nobody has time for that. Whether you are a new interior designer or a seasoned designer, I am here to help you create and to manage the kind of interior design firm that you dream of. It's straight talk and it's action. Are you ready? Let's get started. Hi, welcome to A Well-Designed Business. It's Power Talk Friday. Today, I am joined by Shelli Warren, Distinguished Women's Leadership Advisor and the host of Stacking Your Team podcast. Shelli has been coaching business owners for nearly a decade. Her superpower is helping business owners develop and nurture a leadership team that can take over the daily operations of your business, enabling you to focus on higher level growth decisions and activities. Sounds like nirvana, doesn't it? And how can she do this? Well, Shelli has successfully managed multi-million-dollar projects for Fortune 50 corporations and iconic billion-dollar brands. And I have to say, when we start the program, you'll hear her, and it is so sweet of Shelli to say that she is a fan of mine, but I am equally impressed by her, especially because I have listened to her podcast for years, and in the interim, I know that she has coached some of my very close friends, Vita Vykoska, Janelle Fitopoulos, and Jenny Eggers, to name just a few. And each of these powerhouse women have all come back raving about her leadership programs. Shelli thrives on helping small business owners develop and nurture that team so they can take over the day-to-day. This is a major asset to you as a business owner when you have the confidence that your team understands what has to be done, how it has to be done, when it has to be done. Right? So today, Shelli is proving how a small business can add value and career opportunities for the right people, and that success doesn't have to come only from working for a big corporation or a big design firm. Okay? Your little old firm is a great place for someone to end up. Now, before we get into this, I'd like to talk about Duke Renders, our sponsor. You know how frustrating it can be when your clients don't fully understand or visualize your design plan. Even though you use swatches and drawings and mood boards and software like AutoCAD and SketchUp, sometimes they have a hard time understanding, and therefore that delays the approval process. When we delay the approval process, we delay our pipeline, don't we? Well, Duke Renders offers 100% accurate, do-it-for-you 3D renderings that present your designs in their entirety. This way, you can make sure that your client fully understands and visualizes your design before you execute it. Do you know the headaches that this saves? Do you know the back and forth that this saves? Do you know the time and the mistakes that this saves? Yes, tons of all of those things. So, if you want to start saving time and avoiding delays in your projects, you should book an intro call to Duke Renders and start to understand how they can help you on your design projects. Go to dukerenders.com/Luann and they will get you started and understanding how they can help you with your projects. All right? Go to dukerenders.com/Luann. All righty, let's get to Shelli Warren. Hi, Shelli. Thanks so much for joining me on A Well-Designed Business today.
It's my honor to be here with the one and only Luann. Are you kidding me?
You lunatic. You know, this is a little mutual admiration society here today, I have to say. Your podcast, Stacking Your Team, and your business, Stacking Your Team, I've been a great fan of for many years. And I have known for many years what a freaking hashtag smart lady you are. And then over the last couple of years, so many of my close friends, Vita Vykovska, Jenny Eggers, Janelle Fotopoulos, have all coached with you in your leadership programs and just literally come back to me with like 5-star ratings, which doesn't surprise me at all. So I'm going to say I'm here with the one and only Shelli Warren. So there, how about that?
Well, I'm honored to be part of that elite group of designers. And it's because I could design my way out of a paper bag, but I feel like a designer when I get to hang out with incredibly creative people like you. And I love meeting people, and they have this wonderful connection through you. I mean, isn't that what it's all about? Like, I just love that. Love.
Cool,
and when I see all your photos from the Luann live events, and I'm like, oh my God, there's so-and-so. Oh my gosh, there's so-and-so. I just love seeing them all come together to learn together, to support each other. And they just all adore you. And to me, I mean, isn't that what makes the world go round?
Yeah, it is. It's fun when you really take conversations and build them into relationships is pretty much the way I look at it, right? It usually starts with a conversation either with somebody on the podcast or in real life. And then the next thing you know, you see them at a different event and you take the conversation to the next level. You learn more each time about their business, and they become friends. It's really fun. Yeah, I just spent, as we're interviewing, I'm just home one day from 11 days in Dallas and 3 different events in Dallas. And it was a whirlwind, but it was like seeing a lot of fun people and rekindling those relationships. I have to tell you, it was so funny because the last event ended on Sunday afternoon at 2. And then we had to, box our stuff up to be sent back to Jersey and all that stuff. So I guess we ended at 1. By the time we got done doing all of that, it was about 2:15, 2:30. 3 or 4 of us, whatever, on our team, we all went to have lunch afterwards. And of course, now it's like 4:00. And we went back to that's it. Most of the people were flying out Sunday night. Vin and I were staying until Monday because we just were like, I'm not facing an airport. It's, 6:00 on Sunday night. And we went back to the room. And I was, and the Gaylord where we are at is a huge hotel, very kid friendly. And I said, I'll bet they got a laundry here. And we had been out of town 12 days. So I said, you know what? I'm going to fill this suitcase with all the dirty laundry. I'm going to go to the laundromat. And I did. So I was gone like 2 hours. I came back. He had been sleeping the entire time. I walked in the door. He's like, oh, aren't you going to go to the laundry? I'm like, sweetie, been there, sat there, it's done, right? But the kicker was, now it's like 6:30, 6:00. And he's like, what do you want to do? And I'm like, no, see, now it's time for me to sit. He went down, picked us up a sandwich. Like I looked at the sandwich. I'm like, I can't believe I'm going to eat this sandwich. Ate a sandwich, took a shower. We got in bed at 8:00. By 9, I'm like, that's it. We turned the TV up. 9:15, we're both snoring. I mean, until 9:00 the next morning. It was like kids. We like I felt like a toddler. I just like clocked 12 hours.
But that takes a lot out of you. Yeah. You're out of town for that length of time. You're having conversations. You're on your feet. You're code switching all the time.
Yep.
And even if you could be the most extroverted, boisterous person alive.
Yeah.
But those types of experiences can really kick you in the butt.
Yeah. And the thing is for me, and the reason I shared all that is because in the moment, I love it all. Sure. I love when and I wear the green so you can spot me and stop me. Like, I want you to say, oh my God, hey, you're Luann. Yeah, I'm like, oh, who are you? You know what I mean? It's fun. And this is how conversations turn into friendships, and it's so cool. Yeah. So here, the thing, my friend, is you have a particular superpower in helping smart business owners become smart leaders of their company and build teams that are, just kick-ass, like that, just, have their process and their systems and the accountability, the joy and the pride in their work, because you're building an environment that is nurturing and the culture is good. I know this from the women that have worked with you, that this is your superpower. And one of the things that we kind of decided that we would kick the conversation off on was centering around letting our colleagues know that when they go to hire, Shelli, that it needs to start with us understanding we have something of value that we are bringing to the table as the business owner when we're interviewing someone to work for our company, that it's not just an exchange of time for hours, that we've got more. Tell us more about that philosophy and how you teach business owners to embrace this philosophy.
Well, I've seen it happen over the years that people in small business, they have been conditioned to believe that the only place where you can have a wonderful career is in corporate. And I'm here to tell you that is just simply not true.
Right.
In the world of small business, you not only can have a worthwhile career, you can offer people worthwhile careers. And if COVID taught us anything, it taught us that many people that were lying in the velvet coffin of the corporate world wanted out. They suddenly were climbing out.
Yeah.
And that's when some of them, the savvy people, started to realize that, you know what, I can actually work for a small business and have a really wonderful career. It all comes down to finding a small business owner that truly believes that what she has to offer is long-term career worthy. And so that's what I do with my clients. I'm really here to help them let's find them first. Let's keep them. And then let's develop these people in such a way that you're building out a leadership team so that these individuals on your team really feel like they have left their stamp on the business. They're help growing the business. They're committed to the business, and that they really feel like they're doing a worthwhile day, doing worthwhile work. So they're there to build out a career, not a job. And that's the clincher. I think people think small business is where you go to get a job.
Yeah.
And it's where you go to get a job, like a temporary job, until your dream job is served up to you.
Right.
But no, let's erase that thought out of your mind. Let's decide that what I had in corporate didn't fuel me, didn't light me up. And now I want to work in small business and have an even deeper and more direct impact with the small business, and do it in such a way that I could stay here as long as I like, because it feels worthwhile. It feels more conducive to who I am as an individual. And so it really comes down to that business owner recognizing the fact that all she needs to do is remind herself that she is offering wonderful employment opportunities to people. Yeah. She just needs to position it in such a way that it feels like, oh, this is my next best career move.
Right. And the thing about it is you might at first glance think that this conversation is a conversation that should be directed to anyone that's in corporate and, hey, let's convince you that there's worthwhile opportunity in the small business realm. But it isn't. And that isn't our audience. And that is not your message. Your message is that those people are out there, those rock stars, those like integrator type personalities, the people that are completely opposite most of our visionary entrepreneur skill set, the people that, like yourself, you come out of Procter & Gamble as a major systems developer and people and leadership developer within the team on corporate. Like, for somebody like any one of us to have a you in our business, now you've got the visionary sitting there, and then this person with this amazing skill set that can, because what is the thing that we most struggle with is the people like making I don't know what they're going to do all day. Like, you know what I'm saying? And so the message really is to our listeners, my listeners, this audience, that if you are willing to consider the fact that your skill set runs someplace, but somebody in corporate might have a different skill set, that person can be such an impactful addition to your company. And that's, I don't care if you want to scale from 1 to 3 or from 1 to 23, somebody's got to manage and lead the people, right?
Yeah. The people side of your business is always most definitely the most difficult.
Right.
And it's because in the design world, you're just so darn creative. And that's where your energy and your stamina goes to. And so when there's a people problem, even though in my world, it'd be like, oh my God, I can fix this in 2 seconds.
Yeah.
In your world, it's just like this mountain of heaviness, and it feels almost impossible. And it's literally because that's not your area of expertise, but you
Right.
could develop it. You could develop that level of expertise. You could also put people in place to take care of that side of your business. Just like you have people on your team who are leading your marketing. You've got people on your team that's leading sales. You've got
Right.
people on your team that's leading sales and delivery. So shipping and receiving, sales and delivery, right? So you've realized that you can't do it all. And that's why you put people in these strategic positions on your team. You can also put someone on your team that is in that people leadership position.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
guess what? That's a wonderful career for
Yes.
someone in a
Yes.
small business.
That's right. That's right. And so, what is the thing? So, the first disconnect is us as business owners understanding the value that we've got an opportunity for the right person to come in and dramatically positively impact our business, but to also say, yeah, worthwhile, put all your eggs in the basket with me, because you're going to work right with me building this out. So that's the first disconnect. But then we've got to find that person. We've got to also understand how to compensate that person. We have to understand how to motivate that person. We have to understand, I guess, how much do we let that person run with and trust them on their instincts and what they want to do? Like, that would to be the next hurdle, right?
Yeah, all that clarity that you're wanting to be able to develop out, you want to do that before you even post the job. Right? Nothing is more annoying, and you've all been there, where you've accepted a job and then you got there and you're like, wait a minute,
That's not what I
this
thought this
isn't what
was.
this is going to be. Or, where's that leader that I met in the interview? Where is she? Bring her back, please.
Yeah. Yeah.
So it's just very common. So what we want to do is you want to get really clear on what are the outcomes? So there's the difference. In corporate, we are paid for outcomes. I was a rock star.
Yeah.
In terms of outcomes.
Yeah.
Guess what? It's the same thing in small business.
Yeah.
You're getting paid to deliver outcomes. So all you're doing is just changing your mind on how you're thinking about this. I need people to come into my business, and they're going to lead people, processes, or profit centers. And in each three cases, they're being held accountable to deliver specific outcomes. And most high-performing people really cozy up to the idea of, oh, hey, I'm going to be paid to deliver outcomes versus I'm going to be paid to do task A, B, C, and D. And then when my leader is happy with those, then she'll give me the next three sets of things. Like, who wants to work in that workplace? Not too many people. Right. So what we want to do is we want to attract those high-performing people that could have come from corporate. They could come from graduate school. They could, it doesn't matter where they're coming from. The whole idea is that you want to position your next role posting as their next career move. And here's why it's their best next career move. Because when you come and join my small business, here's what we offer you. It's a place for you to grow. It's a place for you to make mistakes. It's a place for you to own something. It's a place where you can leave your stamp on the business. It's a place where you get to bring your whole self. We don't have corporate red tape here. We don't have an HR department. We don't have a training department. We don't have a parking spot with your name on it. We don't have the trappings of corporate, but what we do have is all the wonderful things that really fuel and motivate high-performing teams that are all moving towards the same direction for those big outcomes. And that's when people will stay with you. It's when they feel that they really are connected to you and their immediate leader.
So that's interesting, right? Stay with you if they feel connected to you or their immediate leader, right? Because that is a viable option too as you build out your team. They have to feel It doesn't always have to be you. There should be some you in it, I would imagine, right?
But you can't abdicate your duties as a leader. But my rule of thumb is always that as the owner, the CEO, the founder of your business, you should only have 5 or less people reporting directly to you.
Okay.
Because if you get beyond 5, you are doing a disservice to everyone. There's simply not enough time in the day to provide quality conversation and direction. So what you want to do is you want to build out a leadership team. And you can start building leaders when you have 3 people on a team, 4
Right.
people on a team, 5 people on the team. What you're doing is you're saying, hey, I want to move you into a leadership role. Like, are you open to letting me kind of share with you what I envision for that? And if they say yes, then that's where you walk through the whole idea of, I would love you to lead this aspect of the business. I'd love you to look in on trends. I'd love you to really get to know, what is the marketplace telling us that we need to provide next? What are our clients and customers telling us that they want next? Where in the business are we ready to take on a new level of service? Where can we expand into? What's our next best move as a business? And when you give someone on your team that level of ownership, what they then become is incredibly connected to you, the brand, and whoever their immediate leader is, because now they're feeling seen, heard, respected. And they're also starting to see, hey, wait a minute, I can actually influence the growth of this business.
Yes.
I actually can take the business from this point in time to the next point in time and be that continuity, be that historian that can remember, well, back in the day, we did it
We
this
used to
way,
do it
and
that
this is the way we
way.
do it now. It was only 2 years ago where
Right.
this was a complete nightmare.
Yeah.
And now it's a joy. It's a joy to work in this system, or it's a joy to work in that shop. It's because they've had their hands all over it. And it's not that you're going to just give them the thing, give them the ownership area and then just walk away from it. No, you're there to direct. You're going to have one-to-one set up with them. You're going to have a work plan designed for them. You're going to set them up for success. But what you're really doing is stepping back. You set them up for success, and then you step back and let them work through that. And they're going to stumble, scrape their knees, wrap their knuckles up against the wall. But it's through those experiences where they can really spring back up and say, okay, let me tell you what I learned last week. Oh my gosh. And then they can walk you through, this was what the circumstance was. Here's the action that I took. Here was the result. I now know that I should have taken this type of action. And I've already started that. And I could already start to see the turnaround in those results. And when people talk like that on your team, and when you can help guide them through that kind of conversation, now you're building leaders.
Now, the thing is, these women and many others in our industry have worked with you in your leadership lab and coaching. This sounds great. This sounds wonderful. But having had a gabillion employees over the 40 plus years that I'm in business, I know having a vision for the way you imagine that you lead your team and executing on that is very different. And like for me, I learned at School of Hard Knocks. When I think back on some of the things that I did as a leader 15, 20, 25 years ago, I cringe. I literally cringe at when I think back to some of the tough situations and the hard conversations, or employees that weren't up to snuff, and we just kind of just kept pushing it under the rug because, who else was going to do it if they weren't there? I mean, the mistakes, the pile is high. You know what I mean? But how do you teach people that? How, like I said, I did at School of Hard Knocks. It's like, okay, you did it that way 3 times and it didn't work. How about you do it this way? Right. So because having that vision and ideal for yourself of being that kind of a leader, yes, I got to go find the unicorn, but I also have to be, to your point, not only do I have to have the job description ready, but I have to understand, how am I going to have them accountable, and what is the clarity on how will I lead them? How do you teach somebody like that? How do you teach somebody that?
Well, it starts with reminding all of these business owners that a big portion of what you're doing as a business owner is coaching and developing people.
Yeah.
And if you don't want to coach and develop people, then you should move in to an incredible role in someone else's business and flourish there.
Yeah.
Not every business owner is cut out to have a team or grow a team and lead a team. And what looks like help to those who decide, hey, I really do want to do this, is to be surrounded by people who are giving them permission that, repeating yourself 17 times in 17 different ways to get to 17 different people is one way of doing it. The other way of doing it is to really set some standards, choose your words and phrases, create those expectations, and then just rinse and repeat, rinse and repeat, rinse, repeat, reinforce, rinse, and repeat, reinforce. And then you build out that leadership team who now become your ambassadors, and they're the ones that are doing rinse, repeat, reinforce, rinse, repeat, reinforce. So it takes a bit of the heat off you and some relief for all that decision fatigue as well. So small business owners who start to build their team, they quickly, almost overnight, realize, oh my gosh, I think I want to go back to the old days where it was me and one assistant. Oh my God.
I outsourced bookkeeper.
Yeah.
I outsourced contractor or wallpaper hanger.
It's so true. And I hear that every week. But the idea is you can go back to that. You can. It's your life. It's your business. You can decide the level of revenue and the level of profit that you want to bring into the business. You can decide all of that. There's nothing wrong with having a particular size of business.
Right.
If you want a bigger business, guess what? You're going to need a team. And if you have a team, you are going to need people to lead those team members. You definitely have to put some structure in. So what I like to do is have every business owner create 2 org charts. One is current state, and the next one is future state. And then we start to build the bridge and put some timelines on there and realize that things don't always happen overnight. But in the world of design, as an outsider looking in, sometimes it looks like, oh my gosh, she is on fire. Just like, wow. Like the trajectory of that person's business is just, going up through the roof. And then I'm always so curious to see how the team is developed. And it's fascinating to me. I'm a geek about those things. But when she realizes that she has a current state org structure with a current design of her team, and then based on her goals and her dreams and desires and what the marketplace is telling her, because if the marketplace isn't going to back up your dreams, you better find another dream.
Right.
But when she looks at that and says, oh my gosh, okay, so I'm going to need 4 more people. Let's put a plan in place. Who do I hire first? Who's second? Who's third? Who's fourth? What do those roles look like? Who's going to be responsible for attracting them, onboarding them, retraining them, coaching them, keeping them happy here, keeping them, developing them? Because it can't all be you. Because guess what? You're out there developing the business.
Right.
You're out there being the face of the brand.
Right.
You can't be so entrenched in this, I call it overcoaching, where we're overcoaching people, overly hand-holding, overly correcting. It's just no way to run a business. So you need those leadership team members that can step in and take over some of that.
Well, and I think what I'm hearing in my head is there's no need. You shouldn't be in the hamster wheel of overcoaching and overdoing it if you have, like you said, developed your process and the way you want things done, and then taught it to the 5 set of eyeballs that are next to you, and then they disseminate it down to the next set of eyeballs, or the 1 set of eyeballs that's next to you, and they disseminate it to the other 3, right? Depending on how deep the team is stacked. But that's what happens is when we hire people and we haven't taken the time to say how things will get done. And now we've got people teaching other people a different way, not your way, or you, like you said, are the ones saying it 17 times in a row because it just hasn't been declared as this is the way. Like at Window, where I always talk about it on WindowWorks, it's the WindowWorks way. Is it the only way to run a window treatment business? Absolutely not. Is it the best way? Absolutely not. It's our way, though.
But
and thank you very much. We'll do it our way this time. How about that?
Yeah. The other thing, too, I find that happens in small business, just like in corporate, too, but in small business, I find a lot of business owners tolerate underperformance.
Oh, yeah.
To a point where it's crushing, crushing. It's impacting the bottom line. She's losing clients. She's losing sleep. And she's also losing high performers, because guess what? High performing people do not want to work alongside mediocre people. They just don't. They'll put up with it for a bit, but they're watching, when is she going to take action on
That's
this?
right. When they're watching you as the leader. Is this
Mhm.
okay? Are you kidding me? You're saying on one side of your mouth, we're amazing and we're great and we're striving for this, but on the other side of your mouth, you're settling for this mediocre nonsense. Yeah. It's a tough lesson. It's a tough lesson because I think it happens. I know it's funny. Here's my experience. It happens a lot in the beginning with those first, second, and third hires, because you feel like, well, who's going to do it if I let this person go? And then I think it happens a lot when your team gets to that 12, 15 mark, because you're just like, whatever, it's all getting done. And you're like 2 layers removed from it. And you can see in a distance, not ideal, but it's not your top of mind every day. And that's when you need those leaders that you've developed to be strong. But, I think what I mean to say about sharing that I can see that is I don't know that we escape that. And I think that's what I was alluding to when I said, I learned being a leader by being a leader, like the hard way.
Yes. Yeah.
By evaluating the mistakes.
Yes. Or, a lot of the role that I play with my clients is I'm the one holding people accountable. It's just saying, when are you going to fire that person?
That's right.
When are you going to fire that person?
Yep.
Because I want only the best for her. Yeah. I want only the best for her. She deserves it. She's earned it. Yeah. She's worked so hard to develop this business. And I hate to see her get taken advantage of. And I get all the, the reasons too. She's been with me since the day I opened my doors. And I'm like, that's lovely.
And she's got 2 kids and she's so kind and my clients love her, right? But
but every podcast episode I do every week, I remind everyone that the team that got you here may not be the team that gets you there.
It's so true.
And it's that whole change. The faces change, and they were wonderful in the role that they had, and they really did help you get here. But guess what? The pace has changed. The trajectory has changed. Your goals have changed. You've changed. You've evolved into this leader. And now you are no longer, and nor is the business. The business is no longer prepared to continue to support that individual.
Right. Well, you know what it is this, there's times when a person will grow up in your business with you and will morph and elevate and evolve, right? It's not impossible. But the thing is, I think it was probably my cousin Eileen who said to me at one point when we were having this is, 100 years ago, and we're having a conversation about a particular employee. It's got to go back more than 20 years. And the whole, well, they've been here for 6 or 7 years and blah, blah, blah. And they this and that and the other thing. And she just said to me, listen to me. Look at your business where it is now, the volume that it's doing, the pace, to your point, the pace that it's at. And tell me, if this person applied for a job in this position today, would you even consider them, let alone offer a job? And that was my come to Jesus moment. I was like, oh. And that was my first time learning the lesson that you said, that the people that came with you for a certain part of the journey aren't necessarily destined to be with you for the whole journey. Because, and the thing is, Shelli, I know you know this to be true. And what I've learned from actual, getting my hands dirty experience is, anytime I have finally had that clarity moment, usually at the help of assistance of a business coach like Eileen, when I finally sat down and let that person go, they were almost 99% of the time relieved.
Absolutely.
They were fighting, like in this one position, this one person I'm thinking of from 20 plus years ago, she was showing up every day feeling, I can't do this anymore. Like, oh my God, this place is crazy and the volume is too good and it's too loud and too big, and not too loud, but too large. And, I can't keep up. And she had gotten into this cycle of feeling not satisfied and not feeling productive and not feeling like, hey, I rock my job. But she had gotten into the cycle also of, how can I leave? How can I leave Lou and Vinny?
How could I tell her?
Right. Oh my God. Like, I still love it here. I still love it with them. But she wasn't getting the satisfaction because she wasn't coming in and doing a great job. And it's because her skill set and the pace that she was at was great for us, like say up to 1 million. But when we were approaching 2, it just was like, nope, not the same
Yeah.
beast,
You just can't
not
keep
the
up.
same beast. Right.
Mhm. It's so
So,
sad in those situations because that team member they're overly anxious.
yeah, they're
And
not happy.
who
They're
wants to come
just
to
as
work every
miserable.
day feeling anxious?
Yeah.
Mhm.
And I had another experience. So there's the gabillion times I can recall where we hung on too long or we put the wrong person in the wrong seat and, all the things. But then it's so funny because I guess it was about 3 years ago. So Mariali is my executive assistant and she will be with me 2 years this summer. So it was I don't know, 6 months before Mariali, I had hired another executive assistant. Interview was great, pedigree great, like had worked for the pediatric oncology dean at like some huge hospital in Houston, was that person's right hand person. And I'm like, if you can handle that, like you can handle my crap, right? And great executive assistant pedigree. And it was the first time that I committed to hiring slow and hiring fast, like textbook. I interviewed for probably 6 or 7 weeks. I chose this person, thought that I had
Mhm.
made a good choice.
Mhm.
And at the end of the second week, at the end of the first week, I was skeptical. I was like, that's so funny. Like you forgot 3 things and I've only asked you about 5 and you've already forgotten 3. Like it was bizarre because I'm not really pounding you with stuff yet. Right. And by the end of the second week, I'm like, I don't know what happened between the last job and this one, but this is not the thing here. And I had used an outside service, so it wasn't just my interviewing and it was checks and stuff. And I remember it was the third week, and I just went, really great lady. Love her vibe. She's of service, is a good human, but I'm just like, no, this is not going to get better. And by the time it gets better is way too long from now. And I remember thinking, am I actually going to fire her in 3 weeks? And I was just like, yes, you are. It was at the same time, the hardest thing I did and the clearest thing I did, because I knew without the emotion attached, it was a 100% right decision.
Yeah.
And the universe gave me such a gift because she came into work and I sat her down and I said, hey, before we get started today, I'd like to have a conversation with you. And she said, okay. And I said, it's not such a fun conversation. And I said, I don't feel like this is a fit. And I was literally prepared for, you got to be kidding me. It's only 3 weeks. You're a lunatic. You're out of town every other minute. How am I supposed to get a handle on this business? Right. And her whole body visibly like deflated, like shrugged. And she went, oh, thank God you said it.
Yeah.
Because she felt like, how could she only give it 3 weeks?
Mhm.
And you know what she said to me? She said, I have run executives' calendars, like major, like these Goldman Sachs guy and this other guy. And she said, and Luann, no. I cannot do your calendar. I cannot. It moves too much. It has too many different types of people in it. And I think what it was is, I guess when you are running a hospital, if the person, as the executive assistant, if, I don't know, your peer, the head of oncology for adults needs a meeting, that's clear that gets on the schedule. Whereas, I don't know, some doctor that started 2 weeks ago wants to talk to you, that can sit and not necessarily you push. But with my world, she couldn't figure out who. I'm like, everybody's important. They're all my people. They're all my friends. I had sponsors, guests, and I'm like, you just have to figure out.
Yeah, she's very hierarchical driven.
Yeah.
And very complacent as well,
And
right? So she
yeah, and
knew the
couldn't prioritize.
players.
Yeah.
Couldn't
Yeah.
prioritize. And so I take my hat off to you, Luann, for blessing and releasing her at that 3-week mark, because it's the whole idea of, if they don't knock your socks off immediately, when
are they
will
going to?
they?
Right.
And how long are you going to hang in there waiting for someone to delight you
Yeah.
while you're paying them.
Well, yeah. And the thing is, for me, like I say, I got a huge gift from the universe, because it would have been completely logical for her to come back to me with, you didn't give me a shot, like
Sure.
all of that stuff. And I would have been
Sure.
like, listen, my inside voice is telling me, my gut's telling me, your work product. Like I could have, I was prepared for, this is just like, this is not, I'm not debating this. Like I was
Mhm.
prepared for that.
I made the
But
decision.
the huge gift was her legitimate relief.
Relief.
And that's when I went, Luann, when it's not right for you, it's not right for them. And you're
Mhm.
angsting over it. And they are also angsting. Just let it go. It's still
Mhm.
hard to do. It's still, I'm not going to say it's ever
Sure.
easy to let somebody go. But when you have experienced once or twice, one time at Window Works, we had the situation, and there we had been hanging on and thinking we needed to connect this to that before we could let her go. And that was an aha in a learning about the effect it has on the other members of the team.
Oh, yes.
We thought it was just impacting us and that we were putting up with someone who wasn't exactly like a team player. And we thought that it was just in our way, me and Vinny. And she ended up giving her notice. And when we told the team, it was like, it was one of those that you mentioned. Thank God. Like, why
Yeah.
didn't, yay. Then we were like, wait, you guys, oh, throwing me under the bus all the time, didn't help me on my appointments, didn't call my, and I was like, whoa.
Yeah, they've really, people, mediocre performers, they have that ripple effect right
Yeah.
across your team, just like your high performing people have a ripple
Yeah.
effect across your team. It's team dynamics. It's an ever evolving situation in every size business. And as leaders, we need to become really present and aware, listening to the signs, watching
Yeah.
the facial expressions, watching the body language, keeping our ear to the ground, waiting to hear the unsaids.
Yes.
Those unsaid comments, those unsaid expectations that were not met, those points where people are disappointing others, letting other people down, becoming a bottleneck, creating
And
incredible rework.
that was the lesson of that particular employee is we were aware of multiple negative things that letting us down, not always like not blatantly disrespectful, but just 1 inch shy of the line where you're like, that wasn't so nice what you just said, but I can't actually clarify it as insubordinate either, right? And and just a general, what I found was when I would task her with things to do, there were times that I would become known that she would decide on her own that they didn't really need to be done, that she knew better. But the thing is, I'm a little crazy. And once I find that out once or twice, then I would say, and there's no leeway on this. This an absolute do. Have no thinking on this. I'm asking you to do it. Don't figure out for yourself it doesn't need to be done. Because I get like crazy, right? But the thing was, I think as the leader, my big lesson in that experience was everything you're experiencing and you think you're the only one, everybody else is too, but they may not feel like they have the voice to tell you about it.
Or they don't know how to tell you.
Yes.
And they
Without
don't
feeling like not a team player or
Mhm.
tattling. But that was my big aha. It was like, not every person on the team was experiencing every negative thing that she was doing, but every negative thing she was doing was experienced by at least somebody on the team. And it was like, oh, we're not getting away with anything here. We're not sucking it up for anybody. Like we're really impacting good people,
Yeah.
by not having the courage, frankly, to just cut her loose.
Mhm. And those things can get even more difficult the bigger the team is. Yeah. In a small team, it's harder to hide.
Yes. And they usually weed themselves out. If
Sure.
they'll usually just quit themselves because, everybody here is crazy. Like, okay, like these three all look like one thing and you look like another. Thanks. Go home. Right. But the bigger team, it's harder. And like I said, I'm just saying my experience is you are not hiding it from the other people in your team. You are not sucking it up and taking the hit and everybody else is fine. That was my big aha.
No, they're looking to you to do something about it.
Yeah. But
That's
I
what they're
thought only I
watching for.
noticed it, only
Yeah.
me and Vinny were
Mhm.
noticing it,
Mhm.
So, but these are tough lessons in leadership, right?
They are tough lessons in leadership, and we need to make it incredibly normal to talk about these things
Mm.
and also make it very normal to confront one another. For
Mm-hmm.
some reason, we have been conditioned to believe that only a leader can confront a team member, where the best teams, the teams that really gel, the teams that have really great levels of respect across the team, have earned that respect because they've learned to do peer-to-peer confrontation. They literally know how to say to each other, hey, that team meeting this morning, that comment that you made, I didn't like that. Let me tell
Yeah.
you why.
Yeah.
And then be able to tell them why. Hey, when you said this, I understood it as this. Is that what you meant? Because that's what it sounded like. And it rubbed me the wrong way because of this. Could I ask you not to talk that way anymore about me or about anyone on the team anymore? Can we align to that?
Mm-hmm.
That people hear the word confrontation and they think it's going to be like we're going into a ring.
Right.
Somebody's we got boxing gloves on, we're going into a ring. When it really it's about having a professional adult conversation in a workplace. And you can learn how to have these conversations. And believe me, I have had many where I've gone back and asked for a do-over. Hey, that chat that we had yesterday afternoon, oh my gosh, that did not come out the way I'd intended.
Mm-hmm.
Could I ask for a do-over?
Yeah.
I have never had someone say no and just
Right.
prance off. They've
Exactly.
all been open to giving me another chance to start over.
Yeah.
And that's how you show up with humility as a leader. You're not there to be right all the time. You're not there to teach people everything all the time. You're there to collaborate.
Right.
And those teams that have learned how to collaborate and learned how to confront each other and learned how to support each other are the ones that have the best results, and they are delivering the biggest outcomes for these small businesses.
Yeah. And that's the thing. It's funny because we started the conversation talking about understanding that as a small business, we have a valuable spot for somebody coming in wanting to make a career. Kimberly comes to mind at WindowWorks. She came to work for me when she was like 21 years old, 22 years old. She came to work as a degreed interior designer. I put an ad back in Craigslist when that was a thing, and you used to do that. Can you imagine? And I basically framed the ad to say, if you are in the interior design industry and you are interested in window coverings, because I had been looking for months and couldn't find anybody. And so finally I was like, you know what? I'll take somebody for 2 years. I don't care. I just need to breathe. I need help here. Right. And so my thing was, well, why don't I go to the design industry and see if there's, and basically what I framed it is even if I didn't say all of this in the ad, but 100 revisions to come out with the sentiment, which was, even if you're coming out of college and you want to be an interior designer, spending 2 to 5 years in a window covering company, you are going to either exponentially increase your own profitability in your own business when you learn this very critical aspect of design, very profitable aspect of design, or even if you go on to work for the design company that you actually want to go work for, you walk in and you're like, I got your window treatments covered, you're going to be valuable. And she saw the ad, she came in, and it was funny because 1 year, 2 years, 3 years into it, we gelled. She's a great lady. She's smart. She hard worker. Work ethic is, insane. But I kept waiting for the moment where she was going to be like, thanks for the window treatment training. I'm going to go back to interior design now. I'm going to work for this company, or I'm going to start my own company. And that was the other thing. And this is the other point of this conversation, that you have a valuable place for people who want a career, is because I've always been self-employed. My parents have been self-employed. I could not imagine somebody not coming in to work for us for X amount of years and then saying, great, thanks for all that. I'm going to go open my own window treatment business, or in her case, interior design business, and have a window treatment department. Not in a bad way, but to me, that was just like, well, why would you work for somebody for your whole life? Like, in my mind, it just is illogical. My brother's self-employed like all of us, right? And I remember, I guess about 3 or 4 years into it, I felt close enough to kind of just ask her, like,
Sure. Yeah.
what's the deal here? Like, and she just said, she goes, you know what? She goes, I love working here. I love being part of this team. I love how much responsibility you give me. I love how much you lean on me. And it was so good too, because I said to everybody from the beginning, I was never in it for the pretty. If I met Vinny was selling copy machines, I'd be talking to copy salespeople now instead of designers, right? But she loved the design part. And so when I would come in and I would see the big picture on the thing, she'd be like, this fabric, that trim, blah, blah, blah. So together we were so much better. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
And, the other thing she said was, first of all, she was very clear. She had no desire to ever have her own company. And that's the thing that I think is another big message of this podcast interview with you, is that there are rock stars out there that don't want to be the business owner. And so she said, so my option would be to go work for an interior designer. You're right, where I was trained. She said, but I would probably work 80% of the time in a particular aesthetic. And maybe 20% of the time that designer's clients would push them out of their go-to aesthetic. She said, but here at Window Works, she goes, we work with 30, 40, 50 different interior designers. And she goes, and I see, the traditional, I see the modern, I see the transitional. She said, and the collaboration with so many different talented interior designers is so much more exciting than, in her mind, working for one. And so it is the epitome of what you were describing, is knowing that you have something valuable that somebody else out there wants. And, it's 15 years later. She's now a partner in the company.
Oh,
and
lovely.
Yeah, it really, but it took me, and that's why I thought this was a good message that you had for us today, because even when she told me that at 3 years, whatever it was, I'm still waiting for the shoe to drop. Wait, you know everything about this now. You could go start your own one. You know what I'm saying? But she didn't want to. And even now she's a partner, but she's not the managing partner. She's not the one that goes to sleep with the checkbook on her head. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
She's
And you've done a great job of showing her what it takes to run a business, because there's been transparency there through the level of ownership that you've given her, through the level of responsibility that you've given her. And it's secured her notion that, I really don't want to run a business. I want to do a really great business.
Yeah.
But the other really common fact out there is that when small businesses do decide to sell their businesses, a large portion of the people that actually buy those small businesses are their team members.
Yeah.
It's a strong, long-standing, mastery developed individual on your team who raises their hand and says, I'm interested in taking
that's what happened with us.
Mm-hmm.
That's what happened with us, because, they were and to some extent still are the middle managers of the business. And now together they're a management ownership team, So,
but that's a beautiful thing. I mean, that those individuals have had wonderful, worthwhile, long-standing careers with those small businesses, sometimes for decades. And then when that CEO and founder decides to sell the business and move on, they are the number one pick.
Yes.
I mean, why wouldn't you offer it to that individual?
100%. And it's not only from your standpoint as the owner, like, you're turning it over and putting it in the hands of somebody that does it, like I said, the Window Works way, right? Or whatever your company is. But there's such continuity for all the clients of that business too.
Comforting. Comforting for them.
Yeah. Yeah. It's like, people will still say, oh, is Luann going to come out? Is Vinny going to come out? And they're just like, no, they're older than dirt. They don't come out anymore.
Good grief.
But the thing is, the long time clients of Window Works, these people that own it now were there doing their jobs when it was me and Vin doing ours. So they're like, like Catherine will say, no. And they'll be like, oh, Luann's not there. What's going to happen? Well, Kim's going to come out. Oh, okay. Well, that's fine. Yeah, I'll have Kim. Because they remember Kim being my Kim all those years.
Yes. And the continuity is there, which brings that level of comfort and security to those buyers.
Yep. And of course, now we're at the point where, she's developed her own business all the way up with people I've never met that are now her 5 and 10-year
Yeah,
customers and
lovely.
stuff, and that will be her long-term people.
Mhm.
But, it is. I mean, look, that's why I love the point of view that you came to this conversation with, that there is, we can, as small business owners, listen, WindowWorks is 14, 15 people now. But when Kim in particular as an example, and Carlos, same example, but on the install side, became these important employees that you could see were in it for a career, it was when they were the 4th and 5th persons. You know what I'm saying? So you don't have to have this point of view only when you get to be big. You could
Mhm.
be 3 people, 4 people, and know that you have something worthwhile for somebody to come in and invest their time and energy and their life into, right?
Yeah,
As long
don't
as you
minimize
build it.
it. Yeah, don't
Yes.
minimize it. Don't dumb it down, thinking
Yeah.
that, "Oh, I'm just a small business owner."
Yeah.
No, you are an incredible small business owner that has wonderful employment opportunities to
Yeah.
offer to the right people.
And that's how you end up building the team out. And of course, this is if this is your desire. I
Mhm.
think of Rachel Moriarty, and her and I have talked about it, a half a dozen times. She runs a 7-figure design firm, and she has no employees. She does not want any. She prefers all of the pulling in of all of the people. And when she wants to pull it back, something's happening, kids, family, vacation, whatever, she manages from a very strategic CEO level her
Mhm.
pipeline,
Mhm.
and she manages the way the projects will get into her world and the way they will go out, because she does not want to have a team that is, I'm not even necessarily talking about a W-2 versus a 1099 team. That doesn't even seem to even matter anymore. You can have a
It doesn't.
1099 that you're committed to 20 hours a week to, you know what I'm saying? But she doesn't want that. And so this conversation is for you if it's for you. No one is saying the only way to do this is to build a big team,
Yeah, for sure. Mhm.
Yeah, yeah. So good. So good. I mean, I just love it. So tell us, you have your podcast, Stacking Your Team, where you go through, all the things, the nitty gritty, the nuts and bolts on the ins and outs of being a good leader, and all of the ways to build an environment that will attract good people. And then you also do coaching. So you have this leadership lab. Tell us a little bit about how people work with you, Shelli.
Well, I have 2 Leadership Lab programs. One is called Leadership Lab 101, and that's for those women who have a small business owner and they're just building out their teams. So they're getting ready to build out their team. So they have people, I'm going to say 5 or less people on their team. And then I have the Leadership Lab, which is for people who have a team of 5 or more.
That
And
you already have it and you want to up
yeah,
level.
I'm really in the Leadership Lab. It's really about helping them through my signature tools and trainings and curriculum to really help them build out that leadership team to run the day-to-day operations so she doesn't have to.
Mm. And that is that a year long, a
Mhm.
6-month? What is a year long
Yeah, the
program?
Leadership Lab program is a year long. Leadership Lab 101 is 4 months. It's a
Okay.
fast track
Yeah.
program. You're coming
Yeah.
in there, you're getting some of my signature tools and really accelerating your breadth of knowledge as to what it takes to be a leader in a small
Yeah.
business.
Yeah.
But I'm helping it be easier for you because I'm giving you the tools.
It's skipping all the mistakes that I made is what it
We've all made mistakes, Luann. Oh my gosh.
I would say that is the if I had to look back and say where were the most mistakes made, it would absolutely be in managing and leading a team.
Mhm.
Um, and that doesn't mean like it was horrible, but I just know of all the things, if I could go back in time, I would have invested in that training for myself from the beginning. That's what I would have. I just know it. Knowing what I know now, and knowing that there's people like yourself and Eileen Hahn and Jessica Harling, I would have invested in that earlier and just said, you know what? Do I need to invent the wheel here? Just teach me how to do it better.
Mhm. Yeah, save me some time and save me some tears.
Yeah. Because you
Mhm.
get there, we're smart. We'll get there. We'll figure it out. But it's like I say, it's time or money. And I spent time doing it.
Mhm. For sure.
To do it again, I would do money to do it because I know it would have paid off faster, quicker. The results in the team would have also brought the results in the business faster,
Mhm. And
you
that's
know?
what I hear the most is, "Oh my gosh, I should have done this sooner. I should have hired this type of person 3 years ago.
Yeah.
I would be on easy street right now. I
Yeah.
would my teenager would actually speak to me."
Because I would know their name and what they like for dinner.
Yeah, all those
Right?
things
Oh,
for sure.
my goodness. All right. We will put links in the show notes to your website and to your podcast and all the things. And I appreciate you so much, Shelli, coming on today and sharing all this with us.
I appreciate you, and I love as a podcaster, I love meeting other podcasters, and I
Mm.
love podcast listeners. So to make things really easy, you can go to stackingyourteam.com/listener,
Mm.
and that will get you right to the podcast, but it also has a ton of really awesome tools that you can grab right
Love
now
it.
and apply them right now, right in this minute into your business and start to make things a little bit more easier with you
I
within that
love it.
people
I
side
love
of
it.
the business. Yes, absolutely. You're a
All
delight,
right.
Luann.
Thank you. You too.
I'm so honored to finally meet you. Finally
And
meet you.
I feel like we know each other. You know what I mean? I've been listening to your show forever. And like I said, all the people that I know that you've coached, I'm like, yeah, sure. It's Shelli. Let's go. All right. You have a great day.
You too, Luann.
This is what makes a woman like Shelli so great at what she does in leading entrepreneurs. It is ingrained in her, and she just loves connecting with people of any profession. But she has worked with the best of the design firms in our country. She helps other smart ladies build smart teams. You could be phenomenal at what you do, and you probably are, but what the difference is when you have support from a leadership team that really understands the mission and the vision and the values that you have set for your company, right? And maybe it's a misconception that you have that other people think a super amazing, outstanding career can only be found in corporate. Right? That maybe your small business, whether it has 3 people in it or 23 people in it, really doesn't compare to that kind of corporate career opportunity. But you know what? It does. You have to know that you and your business are valuable and that you can offer that right person or multiple people a much appreciated long-term career. And you're not always going to hit it out of the park, just like the story I told with my old executive assistant. But it's important to listen to your inside voice, okay? You have to do that. And it's hard in the beginning. And I'm not going to tell you I did it right from the beginning. But once you do it, man alive, does it change everything? So when you work with Shelli, she helps you in this area too, understanding and identifying what you need and how you need to be supported so that you are filling those seats with the right people. Okay? Now, how do you position a role in your company to a potential employee and help them understand that they can seriously have a career opportunity with you? Shelli says it starts even before posting the job. She says it starts with each of us getting clear on the responsibilities and the outcomes for each role that we have in our company. Position this role then that you are filling as a next career move for somebody. Talking about it like, isn't this the greatest thing to come along, right? And letting that potential person know that it is a place that you're willing to give them enough space so that they can leave their stamp on your business. It's a place that they can grow, and it's a place they can bring their whole self, right? Because that is the difference. If you want to lead and manage a team, you must let them know that there is that space for them. It's not just execution, you doing all the thinking, them doing all the doing. Right? This is the difference. We've talked about it on the podcast before. It's important for people to feel seen and heard. And when you give them responsibilities, it shows that you trust them, and it also helps them feel connected to you, to your business and to your mission. And Shelli said when they feel connected, that's when everything starts to hit that magic zone, right? Where they really can visualize and understand, what's in it for them to be with you side by side through the years, okay? If you remember, several months ago, we had Katie Wick on the show, and we'll link that episode in the show notes. Katie was on to debunk the stigma that as an interior designer, you can't be successful or proud of yourself or any of the things unless you own your own firm. Katie is living proof that she has found happiness working as an employee at a firm that's valuable to her because she literally explained why she feels valuable to them. So hit up that podcast episode for other perspectives on this from the employee standpoint. All right. So know that there are rock star employees out there who will invest in you, who will want to stay with you and grow with you and don't want to branch out on their own. Okay? Of course, I'm always for letting the people come up, grow with you and move on and go to their place where they're supposed to be. But there are many people who choose to be with someone that they respect and they help get to their vision. Okay? You can be an incredible opportunity and a career for the right person. Now, if you are interested in working with Shelli, you can go to stackingyourteam.com and press on the Work With Me link. Also, go to stackingyourteam.com/listeners for some free tools that you can start using and applying in your business today. And do not forget about her top-rated podcast, the Stacking Your Team podcast. All right. Now, before I leave you, I want you to know that we're coming up on the next leg of the Power Talk Friday tour in New Jersey, June 7th, 2024. You still have time to register at powertalkfriday.com. Join me, the Vin Man, Nicole Heimer, Vita Vykoska, Peter Lang, and your colleagues for this amazing, intense day of connections, solutions, and growth. There is major value packed into this one-day event, and I would love to welcome you there. Thank you, Shelli, so much for being with me today. I just love what you do, admire it so much, and I kind of wish I knew about you like a dozen or 2 dozen years ago. In any case, keep doing what you're doing, my friend. You're doing it well. And thank you for joining me today. I do appreciate that you show up. Decide to be excellent. Thank you for joining me today. This podcast is a production of Luann Nigara, Inc. If you want to know more about me, my books, or Luann University, go to luannnigara.com. And if you are interested in having WindowWorks help you with your next window treatment or awning project in the New York, New Jersey metro area, go to windowworksnj.com to learn more. Have an excellent day.